Blinken, go home. Go home as soon as possible. Get lost. Get lost. We don't want you here.
Welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. Today we've got some spicy news here. We've got the third world event potentially happening, all because of some aggressive actions of the United States, NATO, and Justin Trudeau. That's right, Justin Trudeau might be dragging us into WW3. It's announced that as of today, missiles may start being allowed to be striking inside of Russia. See, Ukraine has a bunch of missiles, the Shadow Strike missiles. They're long-range missiles that shoot 250 kilometers, 155 miles. The Americans haven't given them the authorization to use these missiles unless it's within their own borders. But it looks like the America and NATO giving them that authorization here, and Putin doesn't like it. So today we're just going to break down some clips here. We'll show you what Justin Trudeau said. He was running his mouth again. The guy is an absolute idiot. We've also got a bunch of other stuff in the news, including Jagmeet posturing again that he's going to be getting rid of the carbon tax. The BC NDP also said they would scrap the carbon tax. This is coming like a month before the provincial election here in BC. Now David Eby is scared because he's losing in the polls, that he's willing to scrap the carbon tax we've had for like a decade here in British Columbia. So let's jump into this here. First off, we'll start off with this news here about the carbon tax, go a little bit lighter, and then we'll get right into WW3.
We want to see an approach to fighting the climate crisis where it doesn't put the burden on the backs of working people, where big polluters have to pay their fair share, they have to pay the price of their pollution, but it shouldn't be on working people's shoulders.
We put a world-leading price on pollution across this country that does two things. It drops emissions, and it puts more money back in the pockets of the middle class and people working hard to join it. 8 out of 10 Canadians in regions across the country that have the federal price on pollution get more money.
He's still going with that
Canada carbon rebate. And yet Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are caving to the political pressures from Pierre Poilievre and from the Conservatives.
Shots fired. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau taking aim at the NDP leader. That's because yesterday Jagmeet Singh told reporters he believes in fighting climate change, but not on the backs of consumers. So if he was Prime Minister, would Singh drop the carbon tax? Well, that's not clear just yet. But what is clear is that BC Premier David Eby says he'll drop his carbon tax if the feds drop theirs. Have a listen to what Eby said at a campaign event Thursday.
Check this out.
If the federal government decides to remove the legal backstop requiring us to have a consumer carbon tax in British Columbia, we will end the consumer carbon tax in British Columbia.
That is a political stunt because you are losing. This guy's an absolute loser, and this is a last-ditch effort. This is a desperate attempt to get some votes. Everybody get out, British Columbia, vote for Conservatives. John Rustad here coming in a month. We need to get rid of this guy. We don't want any more safe supply. We don't want any more of these stupid rules in our country that are a test pilot for the rest of Canada. It is absolutely destroying this province.
Was one of the first jurisdictions in Canada to introduce a carbon tax, and it could be walking away from it. So how significant would that be? Joining us now was one of the architects of the Liberal government's climate plan as the former Environment Minister. She's now the chair of the UN Group on Net Zero Commitments of Non-State Entities, and the former Environment Minister, Catherine McKenna. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. McKenna.
Great to be joining.
Buckle up.
So as one of the people who had to carry the price on pollution flag for the government for so many years, how do you feel about seeing some of the progressive leaders like David Eby and Jagmeet Singh seemingly soften on the carbon tax?
Well, I'm not going to talk about David Eby because they have their own price in BC, but Jagmeet Singh seems to be talking about the price across Canada, the backstop if provinces don't step up and do their own price. And it clearly has not been briefed. I don't know what to say because he's completely wrong. The price on pollution, all the money goes back such that 80% of people are better off, especially low-income people, because they don't have two houses, they don't have multiple cars. And so it's actually going to hurt the people that the NDP professes that they want to help, at the same time ruining a really important part of our climate plan. And I mean, I put it kind of as a joke, but like, it isn't butterflies and rainbows doing a climate plan. You actually have to reduce emissions, and removing a really important policy is hardly doing that. But it's very disappointing to progressives. Look, I'm not in politics anymore, but I think that they expect more from leaders. Like, if you bring in a policy, and
Yeah, you should stop lying on television. How about you stop with that? This is the former environment minister, liberal environment minister before Guilbeault. She just said all the money goes back. It does not. Pierre Poilievre has pointed that out in the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report. There was like 21 billion dollars that they took from us, or 23 billion, and they gave back 21 billion, something like that. There was an extra 2 billion with a B, billion dollars they kept for themselves in the government. So they aren't giving it all back. And not only that, it's like $200 million to administer the carbon tax. So we're wasting $200 million on just giving back the carbon tax back to us. Imagine how much you could fix with $200 million. Put that into a whole bunch of, you could have more school food programs than you would know what to do with $200 million. And not alone, we just get rid of the carbon tax and suddenly we've got $23 billion back into the economy. That's back into our pockets. People spend that money. The carbon tax has been an absolute disaster for our country.
By the way, like, I spent a lot of time being very vocal and defending against Pierre Poilievre's lies, as well as other conservatives. They continuously lie to Canadians, where they don't, tell Canadians they get more money back and have zero plan for the environment. Like, I don't know what to say. People have to be tougher in politics, I think. And I was rereading something Brian Mulroney had written, where he and I spent a lot of time talking about carbon pricing. And actually in BC, it was Gordon Campbell. So he was a conservative who brought it in. But conservatives used to believe in action to tackle climate change in a way that was the most cost effective, which is a price on pollution, so saving taxpayers money, but also in ways that use the market, give people more money back, and that actually reduce emissions. And Jagmeet's saying, like, the NDP have never had a serious plan on climate change. And I'm not saying that to be partisan. As I say, I'm not in politics. They've had their plans reviewed every election, and they have no plan. So
I mean, that is true. I'll agree there. Jagmeet has no plan, but he hasn't, to be fair, he has no plan for anything. Like, he really doesn't. His plan for every single time he's on at a microphone at a podium, he says, oh, we're working on it. Yeah, don't worry. We'll tell you about it later. He has no plan for anything except for he just wants power. He's just a narcissist like Trudeau. So we're not going to play any more of Catherine McKenna because she just keeps running her mouth and talking about how bad the Conservatives are. And oh, sorry. Oh, what's happened here? I mean, this woman it's so rich for her to keep saying Pierre's a liar, the Conservatives are a liar. Audit of $187 billion worth of liberal infrastructure spending finds 20,000 missing projects. So BlackRock supporters broke this this week. This is a couple years ago when she was in the party. Parliament's budget officer can find no evidence of 20,000 projects subsidized with billions of federal tax dollars. Infrastructure Minister Catherine McKenna, so she was infrastructure minister. She was the climate action minister from 2015 to 2019 and 2019 to 2021. She was the infrastructure minister. So just kind of get everyone caught up here. Infrastructure Minister Catherine McKenna would not document where funds were spent. The Common Government Operations Committee was told. Budget Officer Yves said he could find no records on no more than a third of the projects started or completed, a total of 20,000. We've asked the department and have been able to find information on 33,000 of these projects. Yeah, so I mean, we want to talk about corruption and lying. Yeah, I'm glad she's out of government because this is a snake. Just a nasty snake. So moving over to WW3 here, we've got this. It says just in United Kingdom, Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he supports Ukraine using long-range missiles to strike inside of Russia. We've got this here. It says Russia warns of consequences if NATO lets Kyiv use long-range strikes. The facts are NATO will be party to direct hostilities against a nuclear power. I think you should forget about this and think about the consequences. But German Chancellor Olaf Scholz doubled down on Berlin's refusal to send long-range missiles to Ukraine. Even other Western powers discussed allowing Kyiv more freedom to use such weapons. So we've got Captain Schmuck here. He had to chime in because that's what he likes to do.
Suddenly becomes allowed to invade and redraw lines on the map. And that's why Canada and others are unequivocal that Ukraine must win this war against Russia.
At least he said it right this time. Remember when he said Russia must win this war?
And we will continue to be there to support Ukraine. And yes, Canada fully supports Ukraine using long-range weaponry to prevent and interdict Russia's continued ability to degrade Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, and mostly to kill innocent civilians in their unjust war.
Ugh. Why does he have to finish it with that little, like, this? Ugh. This guy, he's just bumbling. He just can't even put a sentence together. This man is not mentally stable enough to be making these decisions for our country. That's all I have to say about him and this whole thing. They're insane. The lengths they'll go to stop Trump from getting elected are actually terrifying. I was wondering about this. Is this just a Democratic scheme to enter into, like, they're a month from an election in America. They're voting in November, you know, a little more than a month. Like, are they just going to WW3 so they don't have to, you know, do the election? While we're talking about that, we'll get back to WW3 here in a minute. But Joe Biden, we got big Joe Biden here. What is he holding in his hand? It's a MAGA Trump hat. At least that's what it looks like. That's what people are saying it is. It's kind of blurry. You can't really tell what that is. It's a red hat. But really, the red hat is the MAGA, Make America Great Again, Donald Trump color, the hat. Like, he shouldn't be seen holding this. And people are saying he's protesting because the deep state, the whatever, his donors, the puppeteers of the Democratic Party are controlling, and they kicked him out and just put Kamala in. Nobody voted for Kamala in the primaries. It's very bizarre that they could just drop her in and then she can be voted for. Like, doesn't she have to win the right to do that? It's very suspicious. If we scroll down here, you know, I showed this in the other video. Here's Biden wearing the Trump hat. People are saying Biden is now protesting by he putting on this Trump hat because he's pissed off that they kicked him out. And that's why he's holding this red hat. I mean, that psychologically, human behavior, that makes sense if he's really mad about this. Maybe that's just speculation. It's just silly and he's just holding a red hat and didn't think about it. I don't know. He is pretty senile. He's not all there, so who knows? Next up, we've got a clip here from Putin and him talking. It's a little hard to listen to this because you have to, like, read the words like 3 at a time. They're translating it. So I'll just give you the Coles note for the first bit here, and then I'll let you listen to him say the most important bit here at the end. But the caption here says that expected that Blinken will announce tomorrow, that would be today that you're watching this, that U.S. has given Ukraine the green light to strike deep inside Russia using Western-made Storm Shadow missiles. This would mean that NATO and the U.S. are at war with Putin. Putin explains their position here. So first off, he basically explains here, he says that the Western media says, oh, they haven't done any strikes inside of Russia. And he says that's not true. They've been using drones like DJI drones. They attach pow devices onto consumer drones. They fly them in and they crash them into things. That's actually been quite effective for Ukraine. The range of those, being a very experienced drone pilot myself, the range of those is up to about 11 kilometers. But that's for kind of the most advanced ones. They're using the cheaper ones, which are probably like 1 to 3 kilometers of range. So really, it's only conflict that's right on the border that they would be able to get that over the border and then maybe down to a tank or something. They're not getting it, you know, 20, 30, 50 kilometers back to a resource depot where they have rations or the fuel or anything, because everything has to be fueled. So that's really what they probably want to hit, or air bases. If we look here, this is what we're talking about. These are the Storm Shadow missiles. They are very expensive. They cost £2 million, I think. So like $3 million a piece. If we look here, this is the border. You can see 155 miles or 250 kilometers. That's the range of these things. These are air bases in Russia. So there's a lot of targets that get hit in Russia from Ukraine. So that's what Putin doesn't want this, because like, he wants to be in control and he wants to take over, and this doesn't help him at all. It hurts him. So the first bit here, he just talks about that, how this is not true. They've been using the drones to do strikes, but he does say if America allows the high precision Storm Shadow missiles with the satellites, the Western satellites for either the UK, NATO, or American satellites for precision accuracy, then that would be essentially America, NATO, and the EU getting involved in the conflict. So that's basically what he says here for the first bit. All the systems and all that, Ukrainians wouldn't have access to that, so you guys are getting directly involved if you allow them to do that. Because right now, Ukraine has those missiles on the ground. They're not allowed to use them outside of Russian borders. They've strictly told them that, and now they're saying maybe it's time to open up the border here and let them loose on Putin's supply depots, airstrips, fuel factories, whatever, you name it. So I'll play this last clip here, basically of him saying like he'll retaliate. He always does this. He kind of nods towards nuclear war if he gets pushed.
Если это решение будет принято, это будет означать не что иное, как прямое участие стран НАТО, Соединенных Штатов, европейских стран в войне на Украине. Это их прямое участие. И это уже, конечно, существенным образом меняет саму суть, саму природу конфликта. Это...
So you said, yeah, it's changing the direct essence of the conflict. It's no longer Russia versus Ukraine. It's NATO involved.
Будет означать, что страны НАТО, США, европейские страны воюют с Россией. А если это так, то, имея в виду изменение самой сути этого конфликта, мы будем принимать соответствующие решения, исходя из тех угроз, которые нам будут создаваться.
This would put United States and European nations at war with Russia, change the essence of the conflict. We'd make appropriate decisions based on the threats that will be posed to us. So he's always doing this. He's mentioned nuclear war and nukes a few times now. He's just kind of, he doesn't say it so much now because he knows there's probably more pointed at him than he's got. Nobody wins if anyone uses any of those things. Like, let's get real here. We don't need to be nuking each other. This has gotten out of hand, and really we need to decide now what's more important here. Do we want to exchange nukes and have humanity go back in history hundreds of years, if it survives at all? Or do we just want to cut off a piece of Ukraine and say, here, take it. It's already completely destroyed and obliterated. It's really of no value now. It's probably like got all sorts of horrible chemicals and shrapnel and metal, and like it would be a mess to even try to clean up. Well, is that right? Should we be dividing up the border and giving? No. But is it worth losing Canada? Is it worth losing America? Is it worth having the EU, Great Britain all getting nuked, getting more people dying over some broken, shattered land? That like, is that worth it? That's what we need to decide here, because sometimes there isn't just a simple like, oh, okay, you take that, I'll take this, and we're done. Like, that, there isn't that solution here. So whatever gets the job done, and then lets Putin live out his life and dies, that's the best solution. We just need this guy to go into old age and just disappear off the planet. Same goes with a bunch of other leaders. You can name a bunch of other countries. You know, Xi Jinping. The world just kind of has to endure. The people of those countries have to endure. And have the world be rid of this problem is the better solution. Sure, giving up border is not, you know, something that wants to be done or whatever. But this is not our border. This is Ukraine's border. So that's what we need to ask here. Do we want to be nuked over a part of Ukraine's border? The answer is no. What about the US? Is the answer no to them too? Like, they're all making deals to take parts of Ukraine or take resources and stuff after this is all done. All the weapons manufacturers, all these guys who are making, it's all money. It's all based on making money. It's very suspicious, the timing of pushing this in with the American election coming so quickly, and that Trudeau's like, oh yeah, let's do it. I'm about to be voted out. Like, I called this before. People thought I was a little bit extreme with such statements, but here we are. Justin Trudeau has no problem with us just pushing further into WW3 with Putin. The Polish are not happy about this. You can see here they're actually quite grumpy about this whole situation.
Blinken, go home. Go home as soon as possible. Get lost. Get lost. We don't want you here. We don't want Polish people paying and dying for your wars. Thank you very much.
Clearly, Poland not on board. Blinken is a World Economic Forum globalist trader of the United States. The world has been infiltrated by Klaus Schwab and his young global elitists. He penetrate the cabinet, penetrate. That he's personally trained to undermine and penetrate every government on earth. They want WW3.
Crooked Joe Biden is not only dumb and incompetent, I believe that he has gone mad, a stark raving lunatic, with his horrible and country-threatening environmental open borders and DOJ, FBI weaponization policies. He is a mental catastrophe that is leading our country to hell. We'll end up in World War III because of this man, and for no reason whatsoever. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to end up with a WW3. There needs to be another solution, whether that is cutting off a piece of the land so the rest of the world doesn't get involved into a global conflict that essentially wipes out half the planet. Is that worth it for a sliver of land in Ukraine? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. Next up, we've got posted on Harrison Faulkner's page, True North. It says, under Justin Trudeau's new asylum seeker relocation program, Alberta will be forced to take 27,000 asylum seekers. BC with 32,000. Nova Scotia almost 5,000. New Brunswick, I covered that yesterday, 4,600 asylum seekers. This is insanity. Yeah, it's too many people. Too much asylum seeked in this country. We're full. Canada's full. 10,000 people a month are coming to BC. Yeah, I've mentioned this before. It's like the jumbo jet filled to the gills every 2 hours, landing at either Pearson in Toronto or YVR in Vancouver. That's where they land. They just drop off all the people and that's it. That's not technically how it works. They go everywhere, but basically the biggest airports, just people arriving every 2 hours. Full jumbo jets filled. These people all have thousands of people all looking for places to live. That's what's happening in our country. It's too much. As this thing says here, F off, we're full. We're full. We don't have any more room. We're full for the next 10 years now. We got this. The Netherlands has announced its strictest refugee and immigration plan yet. Permanent asylum is being lifted. Family reunification is becoming more difficult. So more countries are starting to crack down on this because it's just breaking all of our countries now. Next up, we got this clip, a little more lighthearted considering the WW3 stuff going on. We've got Mark Holland here, and he's saying there's not enough talk about menopause. There's just not enough talk about it.
And that's on menopause hormone therapy, to make sure that as in that aging journey, and for women, about 1/3 of their life is going to be spent in a post-menopause state, helping make that adjustment. That's not a conversation we have nearly enough. And that's...
Really? It's not happening enough? I guess since Mark is going through menopause himself right now, I'm guessing he should be a leader and start talking about it more. It's just every day, like just the stupidest stuff they say on these podiums. Does he think hot flashes are caused by climate change? Captain, we've just been contacted by one of the village idiots on Earth on screen. I think they have a roulette of talking points. They spin, and whatever falls on that, they try to see if they can get votes. If people pretend to care, then they change their whole campaign based on menopause. Next up, we've got another job fair in Ontario, this time at McDonald's. You already know where this is going. I mean, come on. Okay, so this is painfully obvious just by looking at this. Virtually all these people are directly from Africa or India. Just think of that. You got off the plane from Africa, India, looking to come here for a new life, and you're like, uh-oh, there's no jobs in this country. Uh-oh, you know, the cost to live here is like $2,000 a month just to rent a place. Oh, I better sleep in a cot in a basement with 25 other people. Then I have to only pay $300 a month. This is so demoralizing to these people. Like, this is just insulting to all of these human beings. They should just stay in their own countries and try to make life better in their own countries and lift their own country. Coming here is just shattering their dreams. It does nothing for all these people. Like, look at this. These people aren't getting jobs. There's no jobs. There's jobs for like one person in this McDonald's. There should be two lines, one for born in Canada Canadians, the other for everyone else. Jobs should be prioritized to actual Canadians. I mean, I agree. There should be. But really, we should just not allow all these other people in because we don't have space. There's no jobs for them. It's a humanitarian crisis. It's not right to all these people. There should only be 3 or 4 people in line, and they should all be Canadians. And the Canadians get the jobs, and that's it. No jobs left for kids anywhere. Canada's job market has been drowned by immigration. Yeah, like if you're looking to save up for college now as a Canadian kid that's 16, 17, 18, 19, you're screwed. Justin Trudeau sold out your future. Next up, we've got, I think is a Palestinian protester got into this, it seems like some sort of private event where Stephen Guilbeault was talking and starts just going after him.
Minister Guilbeault, how do you feel about a Montreal firm providing 50,000 weapons, 50,000 high explosives to Israel? Minister Guilbeault, how do you feel about a Montreal company providing 50,000 high explosives to Israel? Minister Guilbeault, don't walk away. How do you feel about a Montreal company supporting the genocide in Gaza, Minister Guilbeault?
What's with the guy waving his hand in front of his cell phone? Like, what is this guy doing? You're allowed to film in public. Why is he trying to stop that? I mean, you can see Guilbeault doesn't give a crap. You know, he gave him one look and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Oh, he's got another video down here.
How are you feeling about 50,000 weapons from Montreal factory going to Israel to continue its genocide? What do you say about your support for the genocide, Mr. Guilbeault?
The Liberals are embarrassing, but supporting Israel is the right thing to do. Sell arms to allies. There's a video I just saw today where an entire, I think it's an Air Force base in Israel is completely gone. Like gonzo gone. Stay tuned, because I don't think they're just going to take that laying down. There's going to be some retaliation. I'm not sure where that came from or whatever, but jumping over my group, let's see what memes we've got today. We got this posted here. It says Immigration Minister Mark Miller threatened to use any available levers against provinces that don't comply with the proposed plan to relocate asylum seekers. Why don't you guys stick them in your backyard, in your basement, in your upstairs bedroom? You guys can take all the asylum seekers. These guys are out of control. They need to be thrown out of government. It goes on here, say originally destined for Quebec and Ontario, these provinces have lower ratios of refugee claimants to its population. According to the documents from Statistics Canada, reports show 450,000 individuals are seeking to have being granted asylum in Canada. The briefing said 235,000 asylum claims are currently open where a decision has not been rendered. What is going on? There's a lot of people. If each were accepted, the plan would have Ontario take 91,000, 39% of the claimant share. This is down from 105,000. Around 6,200 claimants have not been assigned to a province or territory. Quebec would take 34%, which is 51,000, which was down from 99,000. Says this week the Bloc Quebecois positioned itself to form a coalition with the Liberal government, keeping them in power. One of the demands is that the government reduce the immigration. There it is. So that's part of their dirty plan. British Columbia would take 32,000. And yeah, we saw the rest of those numbers in that graphic I showed earlier. This is wild. The only thing we could really do is like have all these people set up a new city somewhere up north, like build a new city. Like, what else do we do? Like, give them some yurts, some tents. Like, here, you guys gotta build everything. Build the roads, build whatever, build your own city. Like, it's just, what else do we do? We don't have the room for all these people. We don't have the housing. World leaders with their dogs. This is too much. Xi Jinping. I'm getting hiccups. You're fine. He's lying to you. 9 years of Trudeau. So we got this video being posted here. This is in Bowmanville Creek, Clarington, Ontario.
You guys know that's very illegal, eh? You guys know this is very illegal, what you guys are doing? What's your guys' names? You're netting fish, yeah. You're netting fish, which is extremely illegal. You go to jail for that. Do you guys understand that? I've been videotaping you guys for a while. What's your guys' names?
There's a comment in here saying not leaving fish for spawning as well. I don't know this area or whatever, but there's another, the title I think said needing a fishing license, but these guys don't. I mean, really, when they get caught red-handed, they should just chuck it back right away, but they're not going to. They're just going to go home and cook it. Bylaw, fishing license. They can't follow the rules here. They should be sent back. I mean, that's what I said. Like, you have to pass a test, and one of them should be this, like fishing licenses in Canada, like a whole bunch of cultural things. If all these people, say from India, are typically going down to a river and catching fish, then why wouldn't you have a question on the immigration test that tests that? Oh, do you need a license to fish in Canada? Can you use a net? Whatever, and test it. If they don't get it right, then they don't get it right. They don't get to come in. Like that. This shouldn't be rocket science. While going and catching fish is one thing, illegal, you get much worse things like people dropping a hot Carl on Wasaga Beach, and not just one hot Carl, like thousands of hot Carls. Like, we don't want to go to our beaches and have them just filled with steamy Luigis. Like, that's not what we want in this country. The highest responsibility of our government, of any Canadian government, is to keep Canadians safe and our country secure. Yeah, that's not what Justin Trudeau's doing today. He's just poking the bear there over with Putin. He's just poking it. Poke, poke, poke. Are you going to send over the nukes? Like, Trudeau has cut down our military. He hasn't spent on it. He doesn't fund it. We've literally got our military people, some of them, living in their cars. That was quite literally one of the first videos I ever did on this channel. I think YouTube took that one down. Our military is drastically underfunded. We don't have a big military, and yet here he's going poking Putin. Like, what is he doing? He's a deranged fool. He's obviously upset that his polling numbers are terrible. He's upset that he gets heckled everywhere he goes. He's upset that his wife is with the surgeon, a man who heals, who operates on children, works in a children's hospital. He got chucked to the side for the surgeon, and he's going through his divorce. Jagmeet broke up with him. He's got a lot of problems. He's not fit to be making major decisions and dealing with world leaders that have nuclear weapons. Stay tuned to see what happens here. Do you think Justin Trudeau is going to drag us into a conflict directly with Putin?